Want to know a secret? I struggle with imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? It's feelings of self-doubt and personal incompetence that persist despite a person's education, experience, and accomplishments. Have you ever struggled with something similar? Have you ever doubted that you had what it takes to do the things God has called you to do? Those of us who struggle with imposter syndrome are not only aware of our limitations and inadequacies, but we are controlled by them. This type of fear can be debilitating at times. How do we overcome this in order to become the person God created us to be? Let's take a look at this idea together in this week's 5-Minute Torah. Welcome back, Torah Tribe. You're watching the channel that connects disciples of Yeshua to the eternal Torah of God. As a reminder, if you find this video valuable, please do me a favor and give it a thumbs up and then share it with your family and friends. This week's Torah portion is Shemot, Exodus 1:1 through 6:1, and here are the 3 things that you need to know about it. Number 1, oppression of Israel. When Joseph dies, things go south quickly for the Israelites. A campaign of oppression eventually landed the descendants of Jacob into a life of slavery. But no matter how hard they were oppressed, they multiplied. To us, that sounds like a blessing, but to Egypt, the Israelites were like a cancerous growth that needed excision. So Pharaoh commanded all of the male Israelite babies to be thrown into the Nile. God spares the life of Moses when he's put into the Nile by his mother and adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. When Moses grows up, he sees the horrible treatment of his brothers and sisters and tries to do something about it, only to have it backfire. He flees to Midian and eventually marries Zipporah, the daughter of Yitro, the priest of Midian. Meanwhile, the cry of the Israelites rose to heaven. Number 2, the burning bush. One day, as Moses is tending his father-in-law's sheep, he saw something unusual and turned aside to investigate. He saw that a bush was on fire but not being consumed. God called out to him from the bush and told him that he had heard the cry of the Israelites and was sending Moses to deliver them from the hand of Pharaoh. Moses doesn't believe him at first, but God shows him miraculous signs to validate what he had told him. God tells Moses that Pharaoh will refuse, but that he will eventually give in. He also tells him that he will have his brother Aaron be his mouthpiece to Pharaoh when he confronts him. This is also confirmed when God speaks to Aaron, and Aaron comes out to meet Moses on the mountain where he saw the burning bush. And number 3, the return of Moses. Moses and Aaron went to meet Pharaoh and demand that he let the Israelites go so that they could worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The result was that Pharaoh increased the workload of the Israelites, making them forage for their own straw to make bricks while maintaining their daily production quota. When the Israelites blame Moses for their additional burden, he cries out to the Lord, asking, "Why did you ever send me?" Our portion ends with the Lord's response, saying, "Now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand he will send them out, and with a strong hand he will drive them out of his land." I love books. As you can see, I have a wall of books behind me. If you search the internet, you can find books on any subject you can think of, except for one, discipleship. You may be thinking, wait a minute. There are tons of books out there on discipleship. Yes, there are many books available on how to make disciples. I just haven't found many that explain what it means to be a disciple of Rabbi Yeshua. This is why I wrote The 4 Responsibilities of a Disciple. Where most discipleship books work to answer the question, how can I make disciples? This book works to answer the question, how can I become a disciple in order to make disciples? I know what you're thinking, but everyone who believes in Yeshua is a disciple. Well, while that should be true, the fact of the matter is, it's not true. Over the centuries, since our Master walked the face of the earth, we've created billions of converts, but very few disciples. If you want to transition from being a convert or a fan of Yeshua to becoming a disciple of this man, then you should order your copy of The 4 Responsibilities of a Disciple and have your life transformed. Order today using the link in the description box below. This week's Torah commentary is called Who Am I? And comes from my book, 5-Minute Torah, Volume 3. This week's Torah portion not only begins the book of Shemot, Exodus, but also it introduces us to the calling of Moses to his all-important task of delivering the children of Israel from the hand of Pharaoh. We would think that since Moses was raised in Pharaoh's royal house, he would realize that he was the most qualified person to confront the king of Egypt and lead a group of slaves to their freedom. But when God confronted him at the burning bush, Moses replied with a lack of confidence, saying, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?" In other words, what qualifies me to lead these people out from under Pharaoh's hand? Moses didn't feel that he had the ability to accomplish what God had called him to do. Similar instances occur among the prophets of Israel when they do not feel confident that they have the courage or the skill to do what the Lord has instructed of them. For instance, when the Lord tells Samuel that he has rejected Saul as king because of his wickedness, that he should go to the house of Jesse to anoint a new king, Samuel responds by saying, "How can I go? If Saul hears it, he will kill me." This is 1 Samuel 16:2. Samuel knew that Saul would try to kill him because of jealousy. Despite his fear, Samuel submitted to God's plan. After defeating and slaughtering the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, Elijah fled to the wilderness when Queen Jezebel threatened to kill him as he had killed her false prophets. Even though God had just used him to do something bold and amazing, Elijah became afraid and gave in to fear. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he asked that he might die, saying, "It is enough now, O Lord. Take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers." This is 1 Kings 19:4. Elijah was so distraught that he wanted to die, but God delivered him and continued to use him mightily until he was taken up into the heavens in a chariot of fire. When preparing to build the holy temple, King David doubted the magnitude of God's calling on him when the Lord told him, "I will make for you a great name, like the name of the great ones of the earth." Moreover, the Lord declares to you that the Lord will make you a house. This is 2 Samuel chapter 7, verses 9 and 11. David couldn't believe his ears. Here he was trying to bless God by creating a holy house for his presence to dwell, and God responds by saying that he will make a house, in other words, a dynasty, for David. David responded, "Who am I, O Lord God, and what is my house that you have brought me thus far?" Verse 18. Moses was in a similar situation. According to Or HaChaim, a Moroccan rabbi from the 18th century, the response of Moses here revealed a lack of confidence that he could accomplish the task assigned to him by the Lord. He no longer saw himself as one raised in Pharaoh's palace, but as merely the shepherd he had become, thinking, "Who am I, a lowly shepherd, that I should appear before the king of Egypt and demand that the Israelites be released?" In his mind, even if he did get an audience with Pharaoh, surely he would be killed the moment he opened his mouth. Not only that, but he also knew that he would be held responsible for his failure to bring out the children of Israel. This put a double fear inside him. However, despite the doubt expressed by Moses, the Lord alleviated his fear with one simple response. Ki ehyeh imach, for I will be with you. Exodus 3:12. These are the words we all need to hear repeatedly and hold tightly in our hearts. I will be with you. The God of the universe is with us, with me, and I can do what he has called me to do. It's easy to lose track of this simple fact, but we have to remember that if our Creator has given us a task, despite how impossible it may seem, he's also placed within us the ability to carry it through. Sometimes all we can see is our limitations and inadequacies when we have an entire list of assets we haven't even tapped into. Sometimes it's difficult to remember that we were assigned our individualized task here on planet Earth by a wise and all-knowing Creator who tailored us specifically for that purpose. Sometimes we can become so focused on who we aren't that we fail to remember who we are. Who am I? I'm the salt of the earth, bringing life and flavor to those around me. I'm the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden. I shine my light so that others may see my good deeds and give glory to my Father in heaven. I'm uniquely designed to succeed at what God has created me to accomplish. Now I ask you, who are you? At your birth, God said you matter. What mission has God assigned to you in this life? If God has breathed life into you, He has a mission that can only be fulfilled by you and you alone. Don't miss the opportunity to become the person He needs you to be. Others may be depending on you. Thanks for watching. I hope this teaching buried itself as deeply into your soul as it did in mine. If you're new to the channel and want to take the next step in your spiritual education, a great place to start is with my one-word series right here. And if you missed last week's video on claiming your spiritual identity, you can check it out right here. I'll see you again soon with another Messianic insight into the eternal Torah of God. Blessings from Minute Torah.